and your dad, T.D. Jakes, like Mr. Bishop himself. And so all the family pressure, the cultural, it didn't keep you there.
Yeah.
Let's start breaking that down.
You know, I accepted every thought that came my way. Oh man, this is so good. I accepted every thought, whether it was, I always knew to expect something like this from you. I accepted that there's something wrong with you. If someone says, I love you, I accepted that too. Even if their demonstration didn't look like love, I accepted every thought that came my way. And it wasn't until I realized that just because a thought comes my way doesn't mean I have to accept it. To accept a thought is to say, I'm going to allow this to now become a part of my truth. And there are so many thoughts. Oh my gosh, especially on social media, we are inundated with every person's thoughts and ideas and comments. And then, so we have to really say that this is the vision of who I believe that I can become. For me, my vision is based off of what I believe God says about me, right? But ultimately it comes down to, this is the vision for my life. With all of my leftovers, this is what I still hope is possible. And if we're honest, we still have a hope. You know, I'm still hoping that I can recover. I'm still hoping that I can build, to really boil it down to what that hope is. And then say, what are the thoughts and the actions and processes that I need to have in my mind in order to get there? But it doesn't keep the thoughts from coming. Oh God.
Thank you for saying that, girl.
It doesn't keep the thoughts from coming. So many times we feel like there's something wrong with me because I don't always believe in myself. There's something wrong with me because I have doubt. There's something wrong with me because even though on one hand, I feel like I should do this, on the other hand, I kind of feel crazy. The thoughts don't stop coming, but you have a response to the thoughts. There is something powerful about being able to say, I don't know if I'm qualified to do this interview, but I'm going to do it anyway. Sometimes you're going to feel a little crazy, but you're going to have to start talking back to yourself. I can remember we went on vacation. I've been doing this book tour. I haven't been taking care of my health the way that I usually do. I was in the mirror and I was like, girl, it's not good. You need to get it together. And then I was like, this thought is not serving me in any way right now. The only thing it's doing is beating up my confidence. So what is a more powerful, more purposeful, more beautiful thought that I can bring into this environment? And then I've shifted to having gratitude for my body and thank you for showing up for me and thank you for being strong. And just those subtle shifts and talking back to those negative thoughts help to lead us right into the renewing of our minds.
It's so important that you said that. Like, I honestly cannot thank you enough for that, because people may see you, and myself included, where they're like, oh, they're confident, it's all right for them. And it's like, no. Every day I battle the negative voice that keeps going in my head. Are you good enough? Are you worthy enough? And I think it's important that people still hear you say that you do that, because it's a disservice to them to dismiss you as gifted, as to dismiss you as saying, well, she's got it together. It's like, no, it's still every day. She's still doing the work. It's never just it's like in a relationship, right? It's like, you don't just find the person you love, meet them, marry them potentially, and then go, okay, we're all good now. It's like, no. Every day you have to work at that relationship.
Absolutely.
So just like you have to work at a relationship with somebody else, you have to work on a relationship with yourself.
Yeah. You have to know what it is that you need. You know, just like in a relationship, like we're not qualified to be in a relationship until we realize what I need a person in my life for, what is the best value and purpose that someone can bring into my life as it relates to partnership. But to ask those questions of myself, where are my deficiencies? Where are my insecurities? And how can I be a better lover of my own soul? How can I take better care of my own being so that I am not depending on someone else to be my confidence and my support and my hallelujah and my amen? You know what I mean? Like, I don't want someone to have to bring everything. If you bring it, it's great, but you're just going to add to the voices that are already in my own soul, because I've learned to do the work for myself.
Good. Yeah, I love that. And I heard you say something like, well, when I met someone, it was, well, hang on, I love myself. Am I willing to change my own life to allow this person to come in and disrupt it?
Yeah. Yeah. That's how I felt when I met my husband, because I had finally done the work. I was like taking care of myself. I was fine. You couldn't tell me nothing. Okay. And he came into my life and I'm like, he's pretty good. He's pretty good. I was like, how good is he? Like, are you going to leave you alone to be with him? And I was like, he could upgrade you. You might want to move on over there. And so I definitely moved over there. But I had to really ask that question because I'd finally learned to protect my space and my energy and my growth. And I wanted to know that whoever I was inviting into my space could continue to cultivate the garden of who I am. And my husband told me on our first date that he felt like his purpose was to create an environment for me to flourish. And I tell people all the time, everything they see in my life and in my world has so much to do with my husband creating an environment where I really could flourish.
Wow. Talk to me then about how you went from being married to, how old were you when you first got married?
19. Yes.
How you go from having an early marriage and divorce and extreme turmoil. Yeah. I've heard you talk about, very insane stories, which I'd love for you to share actually, to actually give it context, because I think that's why I personally love your stories. Yeah. It's because it's not just in isolation. It's your stories start somewhere and now look at where you are. Yeah. And it is such an important for people to hear the ability that they too have to do the transformation if they do the steps, if they put in the focus like you do, to go from doing things that make you feel shameful, that make you feel embarrassed, to where you are today. So actually, if you don't mind taking me back to the extreme turmoil that you had with your first husband, to then lead me to how you were able to say that about your current husband.
Okay, so all right, I'm going to try and abbreviate it, but I was married before and I had this moment where I was walking out of Child Protective Services, which is a government agency created to make sure that children are protected at home. The reason why I was at CPS is because in my previous relationship, he brought someone to our home and I was cooking dinner and this girl was waiting in the car for him to finish with dinner so that they could go on a date. Of course, he didn't tell me she was outside. I discovered it. I was like, your car is still running. So I creep outside. I see she's in the car. I'm like, what are you doing with my husband? And she was like, we're kicking it. And I was like, kicking it? My mind just left the building. I am enraged. I get in this car. I'm ramming the vehicle over and over and over again until the police come. The police is like, what's happening here? I'm like, my husband brought his girlfriend to my house and I didn't know how to handle that. And he was like, I can see how that could happen. He's like, I'm not going to arrest you, but you are going to have to go to CPS because this is probably not the best environment for your children. So I'm walking out of the CPS office. And now this fear that I've had since I became a mother is that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't a good mom, that I was a bad mom, that I had no business having children. All of this has become a reality. My motherhood is in question because of an action that I made. And I realized in that moment when I was walking out of CPS that the relationship was a symptom. It was not the disease. It was a symptom of an insecurity that started long before I met the person. That even the toxic nature of the relationship wasn't just one-sided, that I brought my own poison and my own willingness to hurt or betray someone in order to get this prize into the relationship. And I had to ask myself, how did you lower your standards? How did you come to this place where you were willing to, because he was in a relationship when I met him, you were willing to hurt another woman in order for you to have a relationship with someone else? Like what's happening with you? We don't like to say this, but it's what's wrong? What's wrong? How did we get here? And when I began to see it as a symptom and not the disease, I realized that I had been ingesting all of these thoughts that changed my identity so much so that the only thing I wanted was someone who was a reflection of what I already believed about myself. And I decided that I didn't want to believe that about myself anymore. I can remember saying, I can do better than this. I can do better than this. And every day I just woke up and I thought I can do better than this. And so I started doing better. And I feel like even now I am in this space where I'm like, I can do better than this. And that road to better allowed me to encounter my husband. It allowed me to start blogging and writing and connecting with other women. But it all started with, I can do better than this.
Oh, God. How do you, in those moments, because I always find there's normally two main parts. It's the complete opposite. Like, what the hell have I done? Just like you, right? Like, I can do better than this. In that moment, it came to you, it hit you, and you pivoted. But what about the people that in those moments go, see, I knew I was no good. Told myself, see? And it's almost like they lean into it more as a proof to why they're not worthy.
Yeah.
How do you suggest that in those moments that people can make that little shift to think like you, because that's what it takes. Perspective. It's not even about the ability, right? It's not that you yourself were so freaking special that you were able to all of a sudden do this and no one else on the planet can. It's like, no, you had a thought, you reframed that thought, and then you put the time, effort, and work in that no one can take away from you.
Yeah.
But you did the work, but it was that perspective. How do we encourage women to have that shift in perspective?
Well, I would first say that if you know a woman like that, that the best thing you can do is love her, not judge her. A lot of times we want so badly for the woman to be free that we kind of push her into freedom. But to love her right where she is, whether she stays or goes, you can always count on me, because at the end of the day, it's love that leads us out of places of fear. And then I would say to that woman, as she's going back, as she's in a relationship that she knows probably isn't good for her, but is all that she has available to her, to ask herself, what does this relationship feed in me? Because that's a really powerful question. When we know that I am betraying myself to be in relationship with someone, then I have to ask myself, what am I receiving to them that is so valuable that I am willing to betray myself? What I have learned is that for the most part, it comes down to people really feeling like this person, I have so much potential and hope in this person that I don't want to walk away from that. But if we can turn that hope and potential into inner focus, then it's easier to walk away.
Hope is a very powerful thing. Yeah. And you mentioned it earlier that almost is like the first step, is like assessing your hopes and then can I do this and then moving forward. And I've heard of this phrase before, but you incubate your hopes.
Yeah.
I love that. Like, talk to me about how on earth you incubate hopes. And even just the metaphor is so powerful in my head.
Oh my goodness. Hope is incubating hope is about creating an environment where hope can continue to grow. That might be putting Post-its on your mirror. It might be listening to songs that lead you in the direction of hope. It might be messages and books and sermons and things like what we're doing here, where I'm constantly feeding my hope and that I am starving my fears. That means anything that makes me insecure. I may have to log off of social media for a minute. I may have to create boundaries and not talk to certain people who make me feel less than, because I'm trying to incubate my hope. And what you'll notice is you start to get more courageous when you're incubating your hope, because you begin to allow that to become part of who you are and part of your DNA.
Oh my God, I love that so much. I actually want to go back to something you said earlier, which is about toxic people. And I want to read a quote that it really hit me so hard. And it's so beautifully said. A toxic person doesn't mean they're evil. It just means they need healing.
Yeah. Yeah.
We always want to pass judgment. You've said this a few times now. And it's like, naturally we pass judgment on people and it's like, oh, they're toxic. They're toxic. But it's such a beautiful reframe. Why do you feel like that's powerful for you, and how do you implement that?
Well, I realized that in my previous marriage, it was so easy to be like, he did this, he did this, he did that. Then I was like, yeah, but you weren't good for him either. Like, your mouth was crazy. You were ramming cars. Like, like you were so upset and enraged that you became someone that you didn't even like yourself. Yeah. And so to realize that at the end of the day, we were both broken. I think our natural inclination is to have a villain. My story needs a villain, right? But our lives are not cartoon and animation. We are all in this world